Better make your speech, children.
Do not be alarmed. We are only little children.
The eccentric humor in the Addams Family, 1964, was just a mask for cruel reality. 62 years later, the bright lights went dark, exposing complete devastation. Behind the scenes, ruthless cancer stole its biggest stars at the peak of their fame. The survivors were left with unspoken trauma and heartbreak until their final breath. Whose story shocked you the most? Comment below.
The punch is ready.
John Astin was born on March 30th, 1930, in Baltimore. He initially studied mathematics at Johns Hopkins University, before abandoning it for acting, following a stronger pull toward the stage. A small role in West Side Story became his stepping stone into Hollywood, eventually leading him to the iconic role of Gomez Addams. Interestingly, Astin originally auditioned for Lurch, but producers saw something entirely different in him, a decision that ultimately shaped television history. After the series ended, Astin continued appearing in cult films, voiced Gomez in the 1992 animated series, and returned to the Addams universe in 1998 as Grandpa Addams. Alongside acting, he built a respected academic career, teaching acting and directing at Johns Hopkins, influencing future generations of performers. His personal life was equally eventful. In 1972, he married Oscar-winning actress Patty Duke, and together they raised 2 sons, including Sean Astin, who would later gain fame in The Lord of the Rings. Although Sean was not his biological child, Astin embraced him as his own from an early age. His third marriage to Valerie Sandoval in 1989 proved stable and long-lasting. Following Lisa Loring's death in 2023, Astin became the last surviving member of the original cast. At 96 years old in 2026, he stands as a living bridge to Hollywood's past, the final guardian of a family that was strange on the outside, but deeply loving at its core. Ted Cassidy was born on July 31, 1932, in Pittsburgh. Standing nearly 6 feet 9 inches tall, with a voice that sounded like it came from underground. Before joining the Addams Family, he worked as a radio announcer in Dallas, and was among the first reporters to interview witnesses after the assassination of President Kennedy in 1963. Just a year later, he stepped into the eerie mansion of the Addams Family, where fate was waiting. Originally, Lurch was meant to be completely silent, just like in the original comics. But during an early scene, Cassidy unexpectedly delivered the line,
"Wild, you right,"
in his deep, resonant voice. The entire set froze. No one cut the scene. No one wanted to. That moment stayed and became immortal. Few people know he also performed as Thing, receiving separate contracts for each role. After the show, Cassidy appeared in westerns, including Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and voiced the Hulk. Yet behind the scenes, his towering height limited him to stereotypical roles, leaving little room to show his full acting range. In late 1978, he underwent heart surgery to remove a tumor. Everything seemed fine, until January 16, 1979, when he died from post-surgical complications at just 46 years old. The news was withheld for over a week. His ashes were kept in the courtyard of his own home. A man meant to barely speak, left behind a single line that echoed through television history. Jackie Coogan was born on October 26, 1914, in Los Angeles, and became one of Hollywood's first true child stars. At age 7, he starred alongside Charlie Chaplin in The Kid, skyrocketing to global fame. By age 9, he was even more popular than Rudolph Valentino, earning around $4 million, an enormous fortune at the time. But tragedy struck from within his own family. His mother and stepfather spent nearly all of his earnings. Under California law back then, parents had full control over a child's income, and Coogan only received about $126,000. The scandal led to the creation of the Coogan Law in 1939, the first legislation protecting child actors' earnings, which remains in effect today. This became his most important legacy. His life continued to face hardship when, in 1935, he survived a car accident that killed his father and best friend. Later, he served in World War II, flying dangerous missions. By 1964, nearly broke, Coogan showed up to audition already transformed. Shaved head, no eyebrows, fully embodying Uncle Fester. While others relied on makeup, he risked everything and won. Though he once lamented going from the most beautiful child in the world to a monster, he eventually embraced and loved the role. He died of a heart attack on March 1, 1984, at age 69. From a child who lost everything, he still changed the entire industry. Ken Weatherwax was born on September 29, 1955, in Los Angeles, into a family deeply connected to the entertainment industry. As a child, he rose to fame playing Pugsley Addams, the chubby, emotionless boy who casually detonated explosives on screen. Across all 64 episodes, his image became inseparable from the character. Yet behind the scenes, his childhood was far from lighthearted. At school, he was frequently bullied for both his appearance and his character's name. The constant ridicule forced him to change schools 6 to 7 times. Over time, the pressure pushed him away from acting altogether. At just 17, he enlisted in the military, seeking distance from the identity that had defined him too early. After completing his service, he briefly returned as Pugsley in Halloween with the new Addams Family. But by then, everything had changed. He was taller, stronger, and no longer the boy audiences remembered. A major acting career never followed. Instead, Ken worked quietly behind the scenes, building sets and creating environments for others to shine. He maintained a close friendship with Lisa Loring throughout the years. On December 7, 2014, Ken passed away from a heart attack at age 59. Initially, he didn't even have a proper burial, until fans raised funds to honor him. A boy who blew things up on screen, spent his real life building worlds. Felix Silla was born on January 11, 1937, in Italy, standing just under 4 feet tall. At 18, he moved to the United States and joined the Ringling Bros and Barnum and Bailey Circus, where he performed as an acrobat, horse rider, and trapeze artist. His unique physical abilities eventually led him to Hollywood, where he took on the role of Cousin It, a character created specifically for the show and not present in the original comics. The costume for It was essentially a full-body wig made of human hair, later replaced with synthetic fibers due to fire hazards on set. Underneath it all, Silla had no spoken dialogue. The character's iconic voice was added later through sound editing. Everything relied on his movements, gestures, and physical expression, which made the character strangely alive and unforgettable. After the Addams Family, Silla appeared in major productions, including as an Ewok in Return of the Jedi and as Twiki in Buck Rogers. In 2003, he moved to Las Vegas, where he performed music and connected with fans. Notably, he maintained a marriage that lasted over 56 years, a rare stability in the entertainment world. On April 16, 2021, he passed away from pancreatic cancer at age 84. He once said that Cousin It was the role he was most proud of. A character wrapped in mystery, brought to life by an unyielding spirit. Blossom Rock, born Edith Marie Blossom MacDonald on August 21, 1895, in Philadelphia, had already lived a long life before joining the Addams Family in 1964, at nearly 69 years old. Interestingly, her younger sister was Jeanette MacDonald, a major MGM star. Yet while her sister thrived in the spotlight, Blossom spent decades in the shadows under the name Marie Blake, appearing in over 100 roles, many of them uncredited. It wasn't until late in life that she was finally recognized through her role as Grandmama Addams, a quirky, witch-like figure who became instantly memorable. This role marked the peak of a career that had long gone unnoticed, giving her the recognition she had been denied for decades. However, her moment in the spotlight was brief. In December 1967, she suffered a stroke that severely affected her speech and forced her into retirement. When the cast reunited in 1977, she was unable to attend and could only watch from her hospital bed. On January 14, 1978, Blossom Rock passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 82. She had lived through the silent film era, the rise of sound, and the birth of television, ultimately finding immortality in the image of a quirky old witch, a life spent mostly unseen, yet remembered forever for one unforgettable role. Margaret Hamilton was born on December 9, 1902, in Cleveland, Ohio, and became world famous for her role as the Wicked Witch of the West in The Wizard of Oz. That portrayal was so powerful, it became a lasting cultural icon, instilling fear and fascination across generations. When she appeared in The Addams Family as Grandmama Frump, Morticia's mother, she didn't need to reinvent the image of a witch. She already embodied it. Although her role in the series was limited to just a few episodes, her presence created a unique bridge between two iconic worlds, where darkness could also feel familiar and even comforting. Off-screen, Hamilton was the complete opposite of her terrifying persona. Known for her kindness and frequent appearances in children's television and commercials, including campaigns for Maxwell House Coffee. Rather than escaping typecasting, she embraced it, turning what could have been a limitation into a defining strength. This acceptance made her one of the rare actors who transformed a single iconic role into a lasting legacy. She passed away on May 16, 1985, at the age of 82. Her legacy goes beyond a single performance. She became a timeless symbol. Standing beside Morticia, it wasn't just two characters on screen, but a meeting of two legendary figures of darkness. Lisa Loring, born Lisa Ann DeCinces, on February 16, 1958, in the Marshall Islands, entered the world under unusual circumstances. Her parents, both serving in the military, separated shortly after her birth, and her mother brought her to Los Angeles, where her life in front of the camera began early. By age 3, she was already appearing in commercials, and at 6, she became Wednesday Addams, a dark-braided, expressionless child who captivated audiences with an eerie calmness. The role made her an icon, but childhood in the spotlight rarely means a normal life. After the series ended, Loring stepped away from acting for nearly a decade. At just 15, she married for the first time, beginning a series of 4 marriages filled with instability. She briefly returned to her role in Halloween with the new Addams Family, and later appeared in As the World Turns. However, her life took a darker turn. In 1991, she became addicted to heroin, a struggle that nearly destroyed her career and personal life. After entering rehabilitation in 1992, she appeared in low-budget horror films, attempting to rebuild her path. Despite hardships, she maintained close ties with fans and co-stars, especially Ken Weatherwax. On January 28, 2023, Lisa Loring passed away from a stroke at age 64. Yet her legacy endured. The now famous Dance by Jenna Ortega in Wednesday was inspired by Loring's original performance. In the original The Addams Family series, Thing was not always portrayed by a single dedicated actor. When Ted Cassidy appeared on screen as Lurch, the disembodied hand was often performed by production assistant Jack Vogelin. Despite its simplicity, the concept of a living hand emerging from a box became one of the show's most iconic and surreal elements. In the 1991 film adaptation, Christopher Hart was cast to redefine the role entirely. No longer just a clever prop, Thing became a fully expressive character. Through precise finger movements, subtle wrist angles, and perfectly timed reactions, Hart gave life to something that had no face, no voice, and no traditional presence. Yet audiences could understand emotion, humor, and intention purely through motion. Hart didn't just play a role, he built a career around it. From Broadway performances to television appearances, he turned The Thing into a recognizable personal brand. His work proved that even the smallest fragment of a character could leave a massive cultural impact. In an industry where visibility defines success, Hart achieved recognition by remaining almost entirely unseen. A perfect paradox of performance. Carolyn Jones was born on April 28, 1930, in Amarillo, Texas, and grew up in a difficult household after her father left when she was young. Her childhood was marked by severe asthma, keeping her isolated, but also allowing her to develop a deep love for films. With the support of her grandfather, she studied at the Pasadena Playhouse, determined to pursue acting. In the 1950s, Hollywood initially saw her as just another blonde actress, until her breakthrough came in 1957 with Bachelor Party, earning her an Academy Award nomination and a Golden Globe. She went on to work with Alfred Hitchcock and appeared alongside Elvis Presley, building a strong career. However, everything changed in 1964 when she took on the role of Morticia Addams, a role that would define her legacy. The character required hours of daily preparation, long black hair, and a graceful, almost floating presence. Alongside John Astin, she formed one of television's most iconic couples. Yet success came with a cost. She became typecast, unable to escape Morticia's shadow. In 1981, she was diagnosed with colon cancer, but kept it private, continuing to act despite her declining health. In 1982, knowing her time was limited, she married for the final time. On August 3, 1983, she passed away at age 53. Her final wish was simple: to be remembered as someone who brought joy to the world. Morticia was not just a role. She was the embodiment of dark elegance itself. And when you look back at all of them, they weren't just a strange family on screen. Each carried a different fate. Some reached the peak only to fall. Some waited a lifetime to be seen. And some lost everything, yet still left behind something unforgettable. Fame fades like stage lights, but their stories remain. If this story made you think, don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories behind the spotlight. And now, who do you think had the most tragic life? Of them all? Oh,